So, The Promised Neverland, a series that instantly grew in popularity when the release of the first season in 2019, and a series that I instantly fell in love with. But before I get into my personal feelings towards this show, let me explain it for those that haven't watched it already. So, The Promised Neverland follows our main character Emma, and sometimes her foster siblings Ray and Norman, but it mostly follows Emma, living in the Gracefield house, a self-contained orphanage housing her and her 37 other orphan siblings. They live a pretty idyllic life with plentiful food, plush beds, clean clothes, games, and the love of their so-called mother, Isabella. In this house, their education is seen as the most important part of their development, and Emma, Norman, and Ray always do the best when it comes to tests. The kids are allowed complete freedom except to venture beyond the perimeter wall or gate which separate the house from the outside world. But one night, a girl named Connie is sent away to be adopted. But Emma and Norman follow with her favorite stuffed animal, but what they find completely shifts the tone of the story. If you haven't watched it and that summary intrigued you, then you should pause this, then go watch it and come back. But for those that have watched it, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how great this show is. So I went into this anime without knowing anything, and by the end of the first episode, I instantly fell in love with this show. Just the dramatic tone switch alone was enough to solidify the uniqueness of this show, and they threw me into the action really quickly. It actually caught me off guard. Just 1 minute I think I'm watching a wholesome anime about orphans and their experiences, and the next minute I see Connie about to be filleted into a steak. The premise of a farm for raising children to be eaten disguised as an orphanage sets up an interesting dynamic. Since the demons really enjoy the taste of the smartest children, they can't just kill the ones that found out the truth, since they are the smartest children, which means they're highly valued stock. So it then becomes a battle of wits, and I love those in anime. And paired with the thriller and shock value, it makes The Promised Neverland that much more intriguing. This anime was one of the few animes that gave me actual jump scares. The immediate cuts from the children trying to be sneaky to mother looking like she had already figured everything out got me every time. But throughout the first 12 episodes, it felt like the show went through multiple genres of anime, not just horror. And that's really hard to do, seeing as the entire thing is condensed into one simple location. But on to the characters. I enjoyed all of them, and also really liked how the story focused on the main three, but still found a way not to diminish the others. But my favorite character would have to be Ray, even though he started off helping the ops in the beginning. But I digress. The first season alone had everything I could possibly ask for in an anime. It had character development, tension, horror, mystery, and even funny memes about Connie on Twitter. Season 1 was nothing short of a great experience of anime. But then we have Season 2. If you couldn't tell, I do not enjoy reading manga. I'd rather just watch the anime, simply because I get this certain experience from anime that I don't get from the manga, that I truly don't know how to put into words. Or maybe I'm just illiterate. But the only time I really read the manga is when the anime is taking way too long between its parts, like the JoJo series, or if I get done watching an anime and I think to myself, no way that's all of it. And The Promised Neverland Season 2 was just that. Now I've been disappointed with animes before. See animes go from being one of the greatest shows I've seen in a while to just something to pass the time. But I've never been let down by a show as hard as this one. And it's because The Promised Neverland Season 2 speed runs through its source material and somehow manages to make the quality of each episode drop with each episode. And on top of that, they condensed the arc and the whole show was building up to, the return to Gracefield arc, into one singular episode. Now it wasn't all bad. They did give us a few decent thriller elements, like the demons chasing the kids through the woods and Ray's standoff with the guards, but all of the really cool locations and arcs were just deleted from the final cut. And yeah, that's not a disappointment for many, and only truly for those that know what they're missing, but it's enough for me. But I will say, for those that haven't read the manga, Season 2 was probably decent. Definitely not as good as the first one, but I assume most people weren't mad about it. But for everyone else, we're livid. But before I say where I rank this show, I want to point out one more thing that really pissed me off. You know what you're looking at right now? Here, let me rewind it. Let me go back. Watch it one more time. You know what you're looking at now? Oh, well, you're not the only one. Most people didn't even realize what was happening here. But let me tell you, Emma is literally meeting God, and that's all we get for it. An 8-second panning still frame is all we get for that. Emma just made a deal with God to rewrite the rules of reality in less time than it took me to describe what she was doing. To say this season was a disappointment is an understatement. But even through all of that disappointment, I still managed to find a lesson of value to take away from this show. And that is the importance of questioning authority and seeking truth. As blind trust in authority figures and institutions can often lead to dangerous consequences, it's important to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and seek out the truth, even when it's uncomfortable or difficult to face. But of course, what do I know? I'm just a guy that watches anime all day. But with all that being said, I'm going to rank The Promised Neverland B tier. If it wasn't for season 2, it would have definitely made A tier, and possibly S tier. But blame season 2 for that. Oh yeah, and my least favorite character is definitely Sister Lily, and I do not feel the need to explain myself. But with all that out of the way, if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more, then be sure to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment on what anime you want me to rank next. And tell me what you thought about this ranking. Was it fair? Not fair? Let me know. And I'll see you guys the next time I'll pop up on your homepage. So with that being said, yeah.